Welcome back to the Sledgehammer's Edge Impact. I know it's been quite a while. We did the last one. But today, I have for you an amazing guest. Someone who I very often call or refer to as Gurudev. A young artist, an amazingly creative seeker. Let me tell you what a little bit about him. This is what I got from him. And he says that he is a creative seeker, goes by the artist name Ahamm. Ahamm, as the name goes, is the very potential that exists before the very moment of creation. The idea before the idea. Ahamm is the unique fingerprint that every soul-seeking artist would want to connect with. This is an amazing person. And let me tell you why I find him so amazingly amazing. Because he taught me how to paint on a wall. And since that day, I have never looked back. Yes, I am an artist. I have done canvases, I've done cloth, I've done leather, paper, but I had never done a wall. He and I met in a place called the Nandi Kalagram, owned by my dear friend Rajaram and his wife, Minnie, or Mrinalini. Let's not keep you waiting. Let's just step in and watch Adithya talk about himself. Hello, Adithya. Welcome to the Sledgehammer's Edge Impact. And thank you so much for accepting my invitation across here to be my guest.
Pranams, and thank you so much. How can I not, how to escape from the clutches of your charming energy? You tell me that.
Adithya, if I have the energy, you have the talent. And you're the one, when we first met, taught me how to paint on a wall.
No.
And since then, my dear Adithya, you will and always be my Gurudev. What an amazing talent that you have. But how did it all start, Adithya? When did it all start? Let's hear your story.
Well, it's what I like generally, when we talk about art or when somebody is good at doing something. For me, what I've seen as a pattern with artists is that art starts from a deep sense of complexity. It doesn't generally start from a very happy place. And you realize after you get into art, there is no happy, there is no sad. It is what it is. So for me, it began on my first standard bench, where I was a very shy kid, extremely shy, probably even coward.
Okay.
Because for me, I used to hate my birthdays. Because what happens on your birthday is they call you on stage and then the whole class sings for you.
All right.
That used to shake me, shiver me up. I peed my pants.
My gosh.
As a kid, I just couldn't handle me being in the center, in the limelight. And the fear of that just keep lurking into every little aspect of my life. As a kid, all that I remember was what I was scared of. And I also had this unnerving feeling of I want to shake that off. How do I do that?
But was there any reason for this, Adithya?
I'm not sure.
Traumatic.
Not really. There was nothing. Sometimes we are just born in a certain way, right? But it also is a message to a lot of people who say I was born like this. No, you can change, mold, split open yourself the way you want, and I stand an example for that. So I was so closed that I would not even step to somebody to ask them a glass of water. Like I could go to, I would go to a provision store, and I used to stand there for hours just to take, a bag of sugar. Because if I'm going to tell him, hey, I want sugar, I would have like 10 people look at me.
Uh-huh.
And that used to close me up, and I hated that feeling. So it so happened on one of these days at school, a first standard kid goes to another kid, um, who's an excellent artist. I don't want to take his name. He's in a respectable music, position today, but
Okay.
he inspired me. So I was a big fan of Mickey Mouse,
Okay.
and I'm having it
You're
on.
wearing one. Yes. Oh my gosh. All right. Okay. Awesome.
So I went straight to him because I used to look at him. So anybody could go to him and give him their pencil box, and whatever used to be on the pencil box, he used to draw it to them on a piece of paper. And I was fascinated by that idea. So I went to him and I said, I want a Mickey Mouse to be done. He said, oh, no problem. I'll do that for you. And he said, come back after lunch break. So, I was quiet, but I was extremely imaginative. So I could not stop imagining how happy I'm going to be once I get my piece of paper.
Right.
So I went to him after the lunch break, and he had this laugh on his face. That devilish laugh. So I was like, this guy's up to something. And then he gave me the paper. He said, yeah, there you go. That's what I've done for you. And I opened it. It was a very funny image of Mickey Mouse. He had put a tongue out, he had put an eye up and down, and then he had put an underwear for it.
All right. Okay.
And I looked at it and I got extremely wild. It agitated me.
Okay.
That is where it all started. I went back home. I grabbed a book on my way. I have drawn at least 40 to 50 Mickey Mouses a day to practice it and get it right. In 2 years, I beat him in his own art. I get my art published on NI newspaper and education in Times.
All right.
Competitions where my art started getting recognized, and then there was no looking back. All that I had to do was just keep creating. It never stopped.
Wow. Wow.
That's where it began to me from. That's my story.
Wow. That is awesome. So very typically it means that you need to get instigated to get to make that volcano suddenly erupt from within you.
Yeah, it's I always compare that to, an eggshell can break from within, it's life. If
Yes.
it breaks from the outside, it's death.
Oh yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So for me, this was an eggshell, moment from the within.
Okay.
So I can never forget that, because I knew I was cracking up, but I
Right.
didn't know if it was from the outside or from the inside. That was the fear.
Uh-huh.
So to overcome that, and I didn't even realize I was on such an autopilot mode, trying to do different things, trying to venture into different things. I didn't realize that I'm actually creating and I don't need to compete anymore.
Right.
I was on an
Right.
autopilot mode.
Yes.
For me, the fact that my work is getting recognized itself changed my personality, changed my character.
Yes.
From being a stage shy kid, today I host shows for 4,000, 5,000 people at once. And
Wow.
I'm in between corporates trying to do, policy events, outbound team building activities for them. And
Right.
I'm giving them insights of how they can just be fearless. For me, that journey is impeccable. It's my journey, and I'm proud that it can happen to a commoner like me. And there's so many other talented people whom I see out there who
Yes.
could, at a nook of a table, can turn anything around.
Yes.
So for me, I still don't put my art in any kind of a structure, because structure switches a lot of people off. They feel there's
Yes.
a method to that madness.
Yes.
So
Yes.
my life so far has been that you just have to be mad enough to break
Yes.
that method.
Yes. I appreciate what you're saying, Aditya, because, being an artist myself, I have a lot of friends who are both performing artists and non-performing artists.
Mhm.
And many of them they've not really gone above the surface. of a large plethora of artists for the simple reason that they are existing within the same framework as the rest are. Whereas when I see you, you broke away from all the boundaries. And these boundaries generally are all imaginative boundaries. They don't really exist, right?
Yeah.
So you are proving that point where you say that, I just broke out of it. And it's only when you break out is when you get recognition, because then people see someone different. Just a week back, I was talking to a flautist. He's a very beautiful. He plays his flute very beautifully, and I said, "Why haven't you made a mark anywhere?" I mean, I know you, and I'm appreciating what you're doing, not because you're my friend, because I genuinely love the music of flute. And he says, I don't see how I can. There's so many other big guys there. Now that's a boundary in his imagination.
Right.
But you've broken these boundaries, right? And that makes a big difference, I think. That makes a huge difference. Now, beyond just your art, painting, what else are you actually deeply involved with?
These boundaries that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Being creative is not about just painting or dance or how well you're talking in public.
Yes.
This creative energy sort of flows into every aspect of your life.
Right.
So that led me to music.
Right.
That has led me to scripting. That has led me to direction. That has led me into movies. I've shot my own music videos.
Wow.
I direct them. I've scripted and directed ads.
Okay.
It just doesn't stop. So at a certain point, my mother gets very confused. Like, what do you do for a living?
Right.
So I keep reinforcing that I'm living. That's all you need to do for a living.
Yeah.
So for me, it's creativity is the difference between existing and being alive.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
It comes right there. So I think at this point of time, anything that crosses my mind, I just go out there and I plunge into it. I have no inhibitions of would it be difficult, would it be easy, or any of these things. So in the last after the COVID has happened, I have got like about 3 certificates for myself.
Wow.
As an art therapy counselor, as an art therapy life coach, as an art therapist. And then I also learned music production.
Oh, okay.
So that was something because I like the method acting kind of an approach to things.
Right.
Even before I could learn music, I spent about 2 to 3 years alongside behind people who work in studios. So I used to go sit there, do nothing. I used to just go sit there, watch them work, and give them inputs about what could be done and things like that. That gave me a lot of learning, but it didn't give me nomenclature.
Right.
Now I needed a nomenclature, a language that allows me to talk to musicians. So this course helped me do that. So now today, if I go, I can talk to a musician with the nomenclature that saves us 20 minutes of rampant explanations.
Right.
So there is that new insight you get into a world that you absolutely know nothing of.
Right.
Where you have a fear of, oh, I don't know this. The fear of not knowing something is a sign that you are equipped to know it.
Yes, that's amazing.
So that's my bait.
I love that. Could you repeat that again? Because this is something that I'm sure my viewers would love to note down.
The fear of not knowing something is a sign that you're equipped to know it now.
Wow.
The awareness that you don't know itself is an awareness that you know that you don't know.
That's awesome. That's awesome. This is something new I learned today. This is wonderful. How much I agree with you. Yes, I do.
Thank you so much.
Now, Adithya, your life has meandered through various lefts, rights, and so on and so forth. You've arrived today at a certain point in your life where you are quite, I wouldn't say, knowing you wouldn't be 100% satisfied and in constant that satisfaction, because you're a person who dreams every morning and turns into realities by the evening. So I know you very well there. But what are your future future dreams or future aspirations now? What is it that you, I know that's a very different question to ask and to be answered by someone like you, because you're someone who doesn't know what tomorrow is going to be like. You just imagine something and work it out. But even there.
So I was just having a conversation before I got onto the show. We were, a couple of my friends, we were all at the table,
Right.
and I just happened to blurt out. I said, your true self is like a river.
Right.
The purpose is like you getting that river in the water tap. Jobs
Okay.
are like Bisleri bottles.
Ah.
So for me, if you ask me what I'm going to do for my future, I'm going to continue seeking.
All right. Okay.
That's my job, and I'm entitled to it by the universe. That's what I feel.
Yes.
I want to seek, because what inspires me to seek is 20,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, we today have left with us only works of people who have seeked. It could be Buddha.
Hmm.
It could be our rishis.
Yes.
They have given us so much without the intention of how much am I going to fetch in the future for this work of mine? Am I going?
Yes.
Is it patented? Is it
Yes.
not? How do I put a marketing strategy to it? Nothing. Seeking breaks these boundaries. I've tried
Yes.
to fit myself into these molds. I have tried working out marketing strategies. I still do for a lot of companies and startups.
Right.
I give them a plan. I give them a marketing strategy. I do their marketing, branding, and all of that. But deep within me, if you'd say, Aditya, why don't you do that for yourself? My intention of why I'm doing this breaks those boundaries. I don't need that to be known, or I don't need that for what I do to be known. What I'm
Right.
doing is for myself, it is for my seeking. My future, I just hope that I can continue seeking and the forces allow me to be on that path constantly. That's all I can tell you about my future.
Oh, that's awesome. Another seeker. Awesome. Awesome, Aditya. Aditya, one question I've been dying to ask you.
Uh,
I know you are deeply involved in the project of a school project.
yeah.
Somewhere where you refuse to disclose. Can you now talk about it? And now can you disclose about it? Because I'd like to be the first one to tell the whole world about it.
It would be an honor if it's coming through you, honestly.
Thank
honestly.
you. Thank you, Aditya.
Yes. Because I've always considered that somebody who is readily learning.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me, who's your guru? I said, anybody who's ready to learn, even now, is my guru. And I see that quality in you.
Thank you. Thank you, Aditya.
I saw that quality in you the first time we met. It gave me goosebumps because somebody of your stature, they would want to keep an image, right? They would. I've never seen people appreciate people wholeheartedly. And I don't know how you do that. But looking at you, I have learned that art of appreciation today. Trust me, change that for me.
Awesome. I am so humbled. I am so humbled, Aditya. So humbled. Thank you.
You are that embodiment. So I would love to share that with you, because on a very deep level, I'm sure you'd connect. And this is probably a little feather in your cap for the voyage and the journey you're on.
Okay.
My fight with schools has been that education just happens inside those four walls.
Right.
There's and creativity is extracurricular. I don't like that word.
Yes.
They say extracurricular. It's not. Creativity is. It's a missing add-on in everybody's personality today. Without the attribute of unable to create, people have developed a complexity that they can't break from. And for a very long time, I've worked with a lot of corporates. And after a certain point of time, they budge. They don't budge to change. Right. Because they have a life to go back to. Right. They're so protective about their inner child.
Yes.
But you go down to the children, it's a different story. So what I'm doing with these schools is, we see school walls getting painted of Chota Bheem and, elephants and tigers and all that. Those elephants and tigers are out there in the forests. Take them there if you intend to show them something of that stature.
Yes.
On the walls, put something original, where this child can only see that in his imagination and not in reality. That's your first step to spark creative thinking in a child.
Yes. Yes.
So for a very long time, I put together a bunch of really passionate artists who by the grace of God believe in what I do. And
Right.
we don't charge anything to these people yet. We go to these schools, we put out a proposal, and we tell them that we will change the way the school looks. We have
Right.
made sculptures out of educational waste. They've given it back to children, and in the process, the children have given so much back to us. And I also shot a song to document all of this, these activities, and to sort of present it to the public. And
Right.
the idea is to crowdfund it, right? We want to crowdfund these little activities in every nook and corner of every little rural, outlook of India. And when I say rural, I only mean it to sort of categorize it. In fact, we, the people living in the cities, are very rural in our approach because we are not inclusive.
Yes.
The
Yes.
rural
Yes.
life is extremely inclusive. They make use of the cat, the dog, the cow,
Yes. Yes.
and everything you have given them in the surrounding.
Yes.
And they're failing today because they're mimicking our lifestyles.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that disturbs me to, it is disturbing. That is the word, because that's not how it should be. There is so much that I've learned from my grandmother more than from my mother.
Yes.
My
Yes.
grandmother has spent her life under coconut
Yes.
trees,
Yes.
and what
Yes.
she's given to me, that learning is immense. I can't even put it to you in words. Today, we are moving away from that scape. We are invested in YouTube and Facebook and Twitter,
Yes.
and we are encouraging other people to look at our content on the same platforms. While
Yes.
we are encouraging life to them, we are also telling them, you can watch me here.
Yes.
So when you start seeking, you don't really care about how many views you have on your music, how many views you have on your Facebook. None of this really reaches you. So
Right.
seeking makes you a devil. You just become like an arrow straight out of the bow.
Right.
You'll
Right.
pierce through everything.
Right.
The other side of life is a feather. I do, it moves away, it moves away. It's a beauty of its own, but it's
Yes.
not an arrow.
Yes.
So
Yes.
for me, the project that we did with those schools was to sort of bring in a different environment through art to begin with, and then we trained students to become RJs. We trained
Okay.
them as radio
Okay.
jockeys,
Okay.
and a very good friend of mine has set up a very nice wire mesh radio there.
Right.
So every day, every child gets to go and talk on the radio, where the other surrounding, villages get to hear them. And so there is this cross culture happening between different villages.
Right.
Like we go out of the country and say, oh, we had a cultural shock. You step out of 3 villages, you're going to have a cultural shock.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
that
Yes.
is something so beautiful. And what I'm doing is nothing. In fact, these people are out there trying to make this change impactive, and I'm just one small stone in that big picture of theirs, trying to make some noise. I'm trying to make some music, trying to so I dressed up as a pied piper. I went to schools. I've given performances for children, and I've painted my face. I've let them paint my face. I've let them design me. I've let them dress me up, and then we have paraded the whole and we paraded the whole village, telling that
Wow.
school is there, learning is here out in the nature. So
Yeah.
we've spent time with them next to rivers, observing snakes,
Ah.
looking at birds, digging for earthworms. We've done some things that I can never forget. I can well up at just the experience of what it gave me. It was the most humbling experience of my life.
Wow.
I should tell you this very interesting thing. um when I went to that school, I sat in front of those walls for about a week, knowing what not knowing what to do.
Right.
Because here we go to a cafe, they have, okay, we are doing this themed cafe, there's a theme that, there's a theme this, in a place where the theme itself is losing itself to today's capitalistic advancements.
Hmm.
What theme can you really inspire or put on the wall for those kids to come and say, oh wow, what is this?
Yes.
I was blocked. And I realized I've just gotten so comfortable in my own rut that I've forgotten there is a dual world existing on the other side, just
Right.
on the other side.
Right.
So it was so difficult. I dropped my paintbrushes many times, saying, "No, I don't think I can do this." And then it burst through you,
Wow.
and then it all happened. And yeah, that is what the project is about. So in about a month's time, we're going to be putting that video out, and we're going to show the world that it's not somebody's responsibility to go out and reach children. It is your responsibility as well. So I did my bit as an artist. I don't go propagating these things because it's a personal choice.
Right.
So I don't believe in going and motivating and inspiring people to take that step. But if you just take your step to do that for yourself, the world changes.
Right. Absolutely. Oh,
So
beautiful.
government school is a very relative project that way, in that sense.
Okay. Which means now what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-invite you again a month down the line with impact to launch your entire escapade out there. I must tell you something, Adithya. You've inspired me so much today with what you're doing. I need to share one very interesting experience I had. I think about a month back, there was a very major exhibition happening, art exhibition happening in Bangalore. And they had a lot of rural people all across the country. There were like 3 or 4 floors of people all over the place sitting on the floor here, everywhere. And it was like a Sante, And I happened to meet up with a couple, Bengali villagers. And since I know the language very fluently, I was born and brought up in Calcutta, I started speaking. They had some beautiful things, like they had tapestries, they had, a lot of work done on cloth. And I was fascinated by one tapestry, which actually had, it was about 7 feet in length or 9 feet in length. And it had pictures right from the birth of Krishna to the point where he's talking to Arjuna on the chariot, the entire story. Right? That fascinated me. And I told this lady, I said, can you tell me what was in your mind when? So she says, sir, when I paint, I sing. So can I sing this song out for you? Now, this is something I've never encountered in 63 years of my life. No artist, painter has sung his entire description to me. Adithya, it was 10 minutes of absolutely hypnotic, ethereal moments for me, because she started singing her version of Krishna's life. And she kept pointing to each part of this painting and telling me, right? And then when she finished, I was stunned. I was absolutely stunned, And then I looked around on the floor, there's so many other paintings, and she says, sir, each painting has a song. And each of these songs are my original folklores, original, created by me. It's not, you'll not find in any historical books or anything, music books or anywhere in Bengal. These are all my originals. So when I paint, I keep on repeating this song as I'm painting. And this song decides what my painting should be. So I start with just maybe a verse I keep repeating. I add another verse as time flows, and my painting is created. Right? I could feel my hairs raise when I talk. And then I asked her, how many people have bought? What difference does it make to me? And that's exactly what we said. When you're a seeker, it doesn't matter how many likes, how many people visit your site, how many people appreciate your videos. It doesn't matter. Because she says, I don't know how much is sold. They told me to come here. I've come here and I'm singing my art to people who are interested. That involvement, that deep-rooted artistic, feeling inside her, it took me away that day. I thought of this lady for weeks after that, thinking, how amazing. And now here's an artist who is not the general artist, not someone who has any boundaries. She's just open and free like a bird, to be where she wants, to paint what she wants, to sing what she does. And obviously she must be financially secure, because I bought the painting. And and that's a great way of selling me a painting. But I may look at it commercially, great way of selling a painting. But the other hand, she didn't sell it to me. She enchanted it into my life.
Right.
And that is where I'm coming from, right? Now, talk about music, Aditya. I know you're also into music, very deeply into it. Can you talk about it? And let's have a few good notes from you too.
Okay. So it all started with the flute. You're talking about Krishna, and now we talk about flute.
All right.
For me, the flute is such a mystical, instrument. So many instruments out there, that use electricity to play. They come in contact with something visible to make a certain sound.
Right.
But this flute, this little piece of plank,
Ah.
it is the only one that interacts with the unseen, that is the wind.
Okay. Oh, yes, it does.
So as a seeker, we constantly interact with the unseen. So the flute is very symbolic of that to me. And I had a very good friend draw a snake coiled around my flute.
Wow.
So
oh my God, that is awesome.
and then since the time she's done this little snake on my flute, I've had a big fear of snakes.
Okay.
And all that has changed today. Today I observe snakes like they're my chuddy buddies.
Okay.
So and then I'm caught playing the flute to them.
Okay.
Because snakes, they can't hear you, they sense vibrations.
Yes.
So when you're putting some good vibrations into the earth,
yes,
snakes come to you. That's the belief.
Yes.
So this little piece that I have done, it came to me in during one of those incidents. I was sitting on a rock, and then I was just playing, and then I just saw something move, and I was shocked to see that it was a snake. But then I decided to continue to play, and he stayed there as long as I played my flute. I don't know if he was listening to me or he was waiting to prey on me. I don't care, but he was there. So this piece came out during that point of time, and I'd love to play this one for you.
Please, Aditya, it'd be most obliged. Wow, that was, and you've learned to play the flute without any sort of a tuitioning or teaching or whatever, right?
No, it is seeking.
Wow. So from painting on the wall, I'm going to pick up a flute tomorrow. That's the next one.
It's going to change everything for you.
Oh my gosh.
I can see that, and I can say that.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, Aditya. Thank you so much. Aditya, before you run away, because I know you have a whole lot of things to be done, and that's what you told me. My viewers, is there something, of course, this show has been totally inspirational for me and for them too. There's no two ways about it. But is there something that you can tell them about your life, which can actually inspire them to move in the same direction as you are doing, seeking?
I would definitely tell that fear is the best thing that can happen to you. If you fear somebody, if you fear something, move right into the face of it. That is where your magic is. That is where your purpose is. Your fear is your purpose. That's why it is called purposefully.
Wow.
So for me, if my life has to be a message,
Yes.
I think that is the message that I tell myself every day. Okay, is this scaring? I'm going to do it. It it doesn't scare me. It's not worth my time.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think, what you're saying, it resonates so much with me
Mhm.
because there was a time, when I was very young, I used to fear so many things, as we all do as children, till I realized that the biggest enemy that we have is the fear of the unknown.
Yes.
And a lot of people never realize their dreams just because of their fear of the unknown. So I resonate so much with what you're saying today because I am absolutely fearless today. And if I had not been fearless my entire life, I probably would never got to where I am today. So I think what you're saying, Adithya, has so much depth and meaning. Hey, Adithya, thank you so much for being here. You have always been an inspiration for me, Adithya. You will always be my Gurudev because there's so much I learn from you. There's so much I learn from you. Every time we interact, it feels like you're reborn again because, there's so much. Now, tomorrow I'm picking up a flute. I promise you that. I am so bowled over with it. Thanks, Adithya. Thanks so much for coming. And
Pranam.
it was such a pleasure. It
Pranam.
was such a pleasure.
Pleasure is mine. Pleasure is mine. Thank you, Anandji. Thank you. Lots
Thank
of
you.
love to you. Lots of love to you. May the
Thank
force
you.
be with
Same to you. Lots of hugs, much love, much hugs to you, Adithya. Thank you so
Yes.
much. What they do there nowadays, this.
Oh, yeah.
Bye, Adithya.
Perfect. Bye-bye. Take care.